The podcast nowhere near Hollywood. It's Afternoon Coffee with Mike and Tim.
Hey, that was good. What I was thinking was maybe welcome to the Afternoon Coffee Podcast with Mike and Tim.
Nice try, boys, but this is how it should sound. This is the Afternoon Coffee Podcast with Mike and Tim.
Welcome to part 2 of our interview with Austin Dallas and Shelly Shepard. I want to apologize for the audio issues that we had on this. My audio ended up being really crackly, and Tim's audio was in and out. We've been having trouble with Zoom here lately, and it's the system is just overwhelmed. So anyway, I want to apologize how bad that sounded. We will take steps to make that better next time, but as of this episode, we had no idea what was happening at the time, so it's already laid down. So anyway, thanks for listening and enjoy part 2 of our interview with Austin Dallas and Shelly Shepard.
During the time of homeschooling in middle school, we tried sending Austin to a private school, but by the time he would get home, he was so exhausted and so fatigued that there was no time for therapy or anything else. So we decided at that time that therapy is number one importance, for Austin's recovery. Number 2 would be school, and number 3 would be homework. I mean, he had an hour of homework every night, and it was just exhausting. So Austin worked so hard during that time to get to do his therapy. I just remember him working so hard, and I think that all that training in football and taekwondo and basketball and baseball, I think all of that just helped him want to improve even more because he worked so hard.
I think with physical activity like that, you know that you can push your body further than what you did last week. And so I think that trains you to just don't be satisfied with where you are today.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. And I was looking back on what Dallas had said earlier. It all kind of started with that pinky moving, just that little bit of movement. And it's like, I think it's so easy to kind of overlook all those little victories that you had as time went on. You're looking back now going, man, it just, I was so happy with that. But look at where we are today. And I think it's a fantastic story. Fantastic.
And just kind of adding to that point, I mean, you had mentioned, we had doctors and people would sit there and say, hey, this is the plateau. This is as good as it's going to get. Okay. So that really challenges you as a parent, as a somebody or as Austin. Okay. Is that true? There's reality. His reality is he's not going to be the same that he was prior to the accident.
Sure.
But then you have to make the realization of, can you change the brain? Can it get better? What does that mean? What does that look at? So really that has really propelled us when we moved out here to Colorado. We had always heard about some different modalities or different things to try. In all the modalities that we tried with Austin, there was some things that when we saw a great improvement, and then you would hit a plateau. And then all of a sudden we would try some other things and not see any results. And then all of a sudden things would take off. But the overall, so I don't believe in just one magic therapy or one magic thing that's out there. It's the continuation of trying new things, putting yourself out there, and letting the brain adapt and change. And I firmly believe that the brain can change if you create the best environment for it, which all of that led us to getting into neurofeedback. And that's basically what my business is for the last 7 years. We opened up the Harmonized Brain Centers based on the precept of, yes, I believe that people can change their brain and it can get better. And so we've done over 10,000 sessions of what we do in just our one office, and another 10,000 in Nashville. But it comes back to that concept. Can you change the brain? And honestly, I believe that you can. Is it going to necessarily work the way we want it to work or to get the results? No. But you can change and get in a better place, which has allowed us to help thousands of people not necessarily all brain injury, but give them an opportunity to have their brain change.
So what other kind of what are these therapies that you do at Harmonized Brain Center? What other things do they address? What other type of situations do they address?
Well, I mean, I look at, or we can help anybody with a brain that's functioning. Our primary modality is lens neurofeedback. It's looking at the electrical activity in the brain. We have another therapy that we use, which is physical vascular therapy, which helps increase blood flow and oxygen to the body and also specifically to the brain. We also have products that we work with nutrigenomics that are really looking at the DNA or the biochemical element and how do we help the brain, the body, I'm not going to say just regenerate, but work as efficiently that it can. So we also have developed the 10 best brain practices. One, you just come back to if you're doing something that's hurting your brain, you got to stop. Whatever that means, that might be if you're banging your head against the wall, that's probably going to cause some bad results. But if you're smoking, drinking, have some sort of addiction, that does affect the brain. So you got to really look at that. The second, you start looking at nutrition, exercise, physical and mental,
Water.
just drinking water. It's creating, so there's some of them that are basic, and then to the interventions that people choose. So that's where we come in. We're not doctors. Obviously, we come at it from a different perspective, but it's creating that environment that so therefore the brain can function as efficiently and effectively as possible.
So stress, depression, anxiety, trauma. People have had trauma in their lives. Migraines, seizure disorders. They've had a bump to the head. Oftentimes, those are some of the symptoms. Anger, irritability, just you name it. Processing disorders. We work a lot with kids and adults on the autism spectrum, and can help with some of the symptoms of that. With processing, sensitivity to light, sounds, smells, that kind of thing. So there's a whole gamut of things that we can help with, and we love it. We just love working with all types of individuals.
Well, I like that you're coming at it from different angles, nutritional and as well as, hands-on type stuff. I think that's definitely the way to go. And obviously you've had a lot of success with all that too. So
I'm just going to put a shout out to an organization that we worked with after Austin came out of the coma in May. It was probably August, September, the National Association of Child Development. Basically what their concept was is they taught the parents how to do therapies, because therapy, to get better or to change the brain, it's going to take a lot of practice, a lot of things over and over and over and over again. Well, you can't just hire enough therapists or you're going to be running around to therapies all the time. So therefore, what their philosophy is to teach the parents to be able to do that. I remember Bob Doman, he told me, he says, if you stick with this program, you will be amazed at where your son is at 18.
Wow.
That gave me hope.
Absolutely.
I've got a path, we've got something to work on and that we can do. So I'm forever grateful for what the NACD taught us as parents, as people, as mentors, and which kind of really built the foundation for what we do. And I just remember listening to that. If you follow the program, you're going to be amazed at where your son is. And now I can look at it in retrospect and forever grateful for that encouragement, the teachings, and what they gave us.
Sure. Yeah, we offer hope, and we were given hope, and that just made a huge difference.
And look at the strides that have been made just in your family and your situation. It's fantastic. There's been some travel. You've kind of gone through the Southeast Asia and the Pacific and those kind of places.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
In the summer of 2018, well, before that, I met this girl online.
Oh, it's always about a girl. I know.
It is. It's always about a girl. True love. No. I met her online. We started talking for a year and a half. Then I'm like, I want to come out there to see you. and travel Southeast Asia. So in the summer of 2018, I headed to Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, and it was a long flight, 16 hours, by myself, first time overseas. I went over there to meet her, we met, we hung out, we traveled Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, all in 2 weeks.
Wow.
And then I was supposed to take a tour in Bali, Indonesia, but then they had that earthquake in Lombok, and I felt the tremors from it,
Yeah.
and it was pretty scary. So then my mom wanted me home, so I went home.
Well,
I don't blame her.
Yeah, the travel agent who was helping him, we all discussed it and felt there were several things going on at that time with the tremors, and so it's like, and that is the Ring of Fire, so it's like, okay, let's get him out of there.
Yeah, and I've been wanting to go out there for 6 years.
You have any plans on going back?
Yeah, definitely. Hoping very soon.
Has the earthquakes been kind of quiet out there the last couple of years?
Yeah, past 2 years.
Have they? Wow.
Yeah.
I want to go back to 2 points that you all spoke of. One that just caught my attention, and it was, and you probably don't have that same pastor now because you moved maybe away from the area, but what impact was it when the pastor showed up?
Yeah, it was very special and very important for us at that time because he was praying with us in the after Austin surgery. He had another episode like a seizure, and which was very scary as well. And so he was there praying for us, and we had other family members as well. So it was so important and so special at that time because we couldn't have done it without the faith community, our family, friends.
And Dallas, same for you.
That night of the accident, we had a pastor friend of ours was there, but we also had Chad Bork said he was on Young Life staff, which we got to know, brought our nephew up, who is now on Young Life staff. So, I mean, the faith community was huge. And again, Shelly kind of mentioned it earlier, people process things differently. Husbands, wives process things differently. She's the extrovert. I'm the introvert. At times, I'm overwhelmed with people and things, and I needed time just to I just got to think.
Right.
I got to process. Shelly is, hey, let's talk to all these different people.
The more the merrier.
The more the merrier. But that kind of leads me into another part that it became fascinating to me. About 2 years after the accident, I was getting ready to actually go on to Young Life staff for a series of events. But I was seeing a counselor saying, hey, am I doing this for the right reasons? Is really what my mindset was. And the biggest question she asked me at one time was, have you grieved the loss of your son? To be honest with you, it kind of pissed me off. I was upset. Yeah. No, what do you mean? I just got done explaining. She said, no, have you ever grieved the loss? I always thought of grief as, somebody passing away.
Right.
Okay. But that's not the question that she asked. Loss is anything. And she said, because you had 10 years of life as a family, as a father, that snap was changed. Have you grieved that loss? Because you're not going to have the same son, the ability to do things that you used to do that were so easy. And so I had to go through that basically grieving process of, being able to play sports. Austin was he was recognized on every sport that he played. He would excel at. Okay, that's gone. That's different. It's a change. So, I always come back to that loss or that grieving process. It was a huge impact. But also I come back to as the faith community also helped in that process.
Sure. Awesome.
Just
Awesome.
looking at it that way, I think it's, you could apply that to almost anything that you go through, and any kind of major event in your life that changes things. You got to grieve what's gone that will never be back again.
That's
So
right.
yeah, that's a good way to
And
look
that
at it.
has tied over into what I do at the Harmonized Brain Centers, because I do deal with a lot of people. I am not a counselor, I'm not a psychologist, but I've had lots of conversations. And a lot of it does come back because when somebody hasn't grieved or hasn't gone through the process, they hang on to resentments, hurts, bitterness, and it builds up, and it actually changes the brain and how we behave, how we function.
Oh,
So
I can
now
see
it comes
that.
back to how do we help people let that go? And then all of a sudden, life becomes, I'm not going to say easier, more able to tolerate and deal with it. Because there's a lot of stories out there and a lot of loss.
Would it be a true statement to say that when this happened, when he was 10 and during, in Florida at home, then in Florida and all that, there's a true statement would be, in reality, there's nothing that Mr. and Mrs. Shepard could have, or mom and dad could have done for Austin. There's nothing you absolutely could have done. It was out of your hands, out of your control. But the people that were the pastor, your friends and all, there's nothing they could do. But just by showing up, my point is that surrounded by people, is that something that, so this will happen in the future to other families. It's a given, it's going to happen. But your advice would be to tell someone, be there, right? Just be, there's nothing, and everybody knows there's nothing we can do to make Austin the 10-year-old boy that he was, but that everyone is there now surrounding the family. Is that a true statement? That's something that some people can do, is just to be there for you, for support.
I look at, definitely, I mean, community is absolutely huge. It's not community with an agenda. It's community just to show up and be okay with, we didn't know, and again, I come back for the first 2.5 months. We didn't know if he was going to live or die for the first 2.5 weeks. Okay, then all of a sudden, okay, he's going to live, but then what does that mean? Okay, and then all of a sudden he moves his finger and starts coming out of the coma. Still, what does that mean? There's no answer to that. Okay, but I even tie back into the craziness that we're all going through with this coronavirus stuff right now. There's going to be tremendous loss. There already has been. Not just talking to people that have, succumbed to the coronavirus. How about the businesses? How about the relationships? How about all the different things? There's going to be tremendous loss, but it's community that's going to be able to come together. That's where we're going to derive our strength from.
Amen.
And so I encourage, reach out to people, talk to people, be genuine. Not that you can fix it, because there's most of this stuff we can't fix.
No.
Right.
But we can be a listening ear.
I think inside we all want to fix it, and I think that we try to offer advice or whatever. Maybe it's the guy thing, but it's like I was just talking to my son. My wife, my son and his wife just went through something. And I said, just be there. Don't try to fix it. Don't try to tell her how to feel. Don't do any of that. Just sit there and listen to her. And I think that's good for everybody. Really, it's not just a male female thing. I think everybody just wants to have somebody at their side, praying for them or just being there.
And speaking of community, I would like to ask you all to speak a little bit, because a lot of people know that they're there, but they don't know the function they do or to what level they do. But the Ronald McDonald House, can you speak on that for just a moment?
Yes, I just can remember the first night when we got up or the next morning, waking up from the Ronald McDonald House and just outside on their back, the backyard. And just looking up and thinking, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. I never knew what the Ronald McDonald House did. I knew of it, but it's like, wow, we're just so blessed to have it. And it's amazing. It's an amazing organization. We have one here in Colorado Springs. They're all over. And just the work that they do and just they had meals brought in and they had different organizations, clubs coming in, fixing dinner each night. February 12th was our daughter's 12th birthday. So we fixed food that night. We served food that evening, and hamburgers and hot dogs and
McDonald's hamburgers.
Yeah.
McDonald's hamburgers.
Yeah. So it was awesome. It was it's just an amazing organization, and we were so grateful to have it.
That's awesome.
Praise God. Praise God. And I think arms of the community like that, that's love in action. And then when you drive through the McDonald's drive-through, time to time, I find the change and I put it in there. But they've got a little dispensary there that you can give. And I encourage folks to do that. I'm sure you can give online, but what a tremendous thing, because can you imagine the cost? And I don't care how wealthy you are, just hotels cost. And to have one that close to a hospital. In Chattanooga, we have one across the street from Erlanger. And that is, it's such a huge blessing, I think, to have the location. And yeah, it's 2 doors down from a McDonald's, but the location and then the level of care that they give. So someone in that organization, I don't know why other restaurants don't do that, or other big businesses don't do that, and just however they fund it. But what a blessing they have been to many, many people. And you are the first folks that I've seen that have used those services of the Ronald McDonald House. And that's good to hear firsthand, from a great community.
I was just going to mention, the first night I had heard of Ronald McDonald House. I didn't know what it was or how it worked and all that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of like freaked out. What do you mean I'm going to go stay in a Ronald McDonald House? But seeing it and how it functioned, the efficiency, the care, the love. Now, people weren't all there to sit there and talk to you or again, I'm going to come from an introverted perspective. I'm like, man, let's let me eat and let me just think here. But it gave me a place to go to that obviously wasn't home, but it was a safe place.
It was like home.
Good.
But it was like home. It was awesome. Full circle, when Austin raised his money for the Ronald McDonald House, like I said, he missed his fundraising goal. He went obviously over, which was pretty cool. But he was able to donate. They were building a new Ronald McDonald House in the St. Pete Hospital. No, I guess
all
it was
children,
all children.
Okay.
And he was able to donate $10,000 to them and have to the kitchen for supplies and different things.
See so there, man, that's tremendous, Austin.
Cool.
Yeah, just keep paying
Ronald
it
McDonald's is there for people when they have their greatest need. When life has come crashing down and you have, what do you do? I don't care if you're rich, poor, what ethnicity, it doesn't matter. They're there to sit there and provide a tremendous service.
So Dallas, how does one start the services of getting into the Ronald McDonald House? How do you have to be referred, or how does that happen?
No, basically when we're there at all Children's that night, the nurses there in the hospital said, hey, where are you staying? What's going on? And they said, here, call Rick Ronald McDonald House. And so it was a direct, because that's not what we were thinking.
Sure.
Yeah. And folks listening to this broadcast, you can't see the emotions here, but I'm just, we're just welled up with tears inside of really joy of how this situation that could obviously ended in death, but now has proceeded in life. And not only that, Austin has been able to raise over $10,000 for the Ronald McDonald House. Now, back then, you had no idea the vision of the future. And then now Dallas and his wife are involved in research on the brain and just helping many, many, many people. And it's a God thing. And I hope you guys, and I know you guys, give credit to Jesus Christ for everything, on this, that your journey you've been through. It's a tough thing, but you guys have really excelled and you've turned this thing around, and you said, no, not today. We're going to make this happen.
That's right. It's totally a God thing. And it was as if God was saying, you're heading in this direction. I want you to go this way. If you would have told us 12 years ago, 15 years ago, we'd be doing what we're doing today. Dallas is a registered psychotherapist here in Colorado doing neurofeedback. We would have said, you're crazy. Austin's speaking and working, and he drives, and he's very high functioning. He plays sports for Special Olympics, tennis, and was on the snowboard team and the bowling team. Wow. Yeah. it's
Wow.
it's incredible. But yeah, God definitely has a plan.
Well,
Tremendous.
if somebody wanted to use your services, what is your website? It's harmonizedbraincenters.com. Is that correct?
HarmonizedBrainCenters.com.
Yes, and we, like Dallas said, we have an office here in Colorado Springs, an office in Denver, South Denver, and then in Nashville, Tennessee. They have and there's this Harmonized Brain Centers TN.com. So yeah, they're very good for head injury, traumatic brain injury, concussion. It's a very good type of therapy, usually 10 to 12 sessions of neurofeedback, and it's very effective. 80 to 85% to 90% effective it can be for many people.
Great. And in Austin, what's your car of choice? You drive? What car do you want? What car do you want in the future, maybe?
Well, I just got kind of my dream car right now. It's a Ford Escape 2013, intelligent 4-wheel drive.
Good.
It's really nice.
Something you need in Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
Amen.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. When I rented cars, and I traveled quite a bit and still do sometimes, but I look for the Ford Escape. There's just something about the Ford Escape and the Ford Fusion that just
really nice.
Yeah, it does it. Yeah, does it nice.
Really
They handle very well. Good, buddy. And what do you want? You said you want a Porsche? Did you hear that?
I mean, a Lamborghini,
A
Porsche,
Lambo.
one of those
Tesla.
$100 million cars.
I could picture
A
that.
big old truck.
You notice he didn't say Mazda Miata. Just want to put that out there.
No.
That's what Tim drives.
With my cars.
He wants
A
a
motor-
motorhome someday.
Okay.
That's my goal, a motorhome.
Good for
Go
you.
behind my Ford Escape.
Oh,
There you go. 19-footer would be perfect for that. Yeah.
So Dallas and Shelly,
27.
yes, you've got Mike. Mike is I'm a voiceover guy too, but Mike's your voiceover guy, and I do audiobooks. So in the future we'll do that. But Mike is he's your source for the voiceover for your website and all that. Yeah.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Awesome. No, that's great to know.
Yeah,
I mean,
Mike and I
I'll
went
jump
to
in
high
there.
school together. We went to Charlotte High School.
Yeah,
And
about a
I
million
forgot-
years ago. Yeah.
Yes, and Mike, I forgot to mention how wonderful the community was when Austin had his accident. They had over 5 fundraisers. They had a
Oh, boy.
2-day golf tournament because it was so large. They had to have
Wow.
it for 2 days. And so with that money, a lot of that was used towards Austin's therapy. Because a year after the accident, the insurance, basically says, okay, you're done. You should be better by now.
Yeah, I know how that
And
goes.
we all know that's not true.
No.
But anyway, yeah, it helped us a lot tremendously. The community was amazing in Charlotte County.
Praise God for that. And that's what we were talking about, the pastor and Ronald McDonald House and all that, and just the love of your friends being there with you.
Yeah, we live in a similar community here. It's very small, tight knit. Everybody kind of knows each other. It's very similar to the way it was, back there. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Were you living in Port Charlotte or Punta Gorda?
Lake
Actually, Lake
Susie.
Susie.
Oh, Lake Susie. Oh, okay.
Lake Susie.
Yeah.
Dallas's father developed that years ago in the 1980s, right in DeSoto County, right across the Charlotte County line.
Yeah,
And Susie was named after his mother.
Oh, okay. Oh, neat. Good interview.
hey,
We appreciate you guys.
We have really enjoyed this. I appreciate you being on here and telling your story. I mean, it's got to be inspirational to anybody who's hearing it, especially for the first. It's inspirational to me. I haven't really heard the whole thing before, so this is great. So we appreciate you being on, and thank you for taking the time for us.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Austin.
you.
Hey, if I need to buy a car, I will call you. I'll get some tips, and we'll
Alrighty.
Guests on the Afternoon Coffee Podcast stay at the Real Rest Inns and Suites, the only 2-star hotel in the tri-state area with a don't ask, don't tell policy for snakes and other exotic pets.
This episode has been made possible by our awesome intro voice, Heather Foster. You can find out more about her at heatherfostervoice.com. All music has been provided and produced by Marble Planet Productions. You can hear more about them on Instagram at Marble Planet Productions. If you'd like to get in contact with us, you can either email us at afternooncoffeepodcast@gmail.com or tweet us at afternoonjava.